Welcome in to another episode of my Dynasty Fantasy Football YouTube channel. Today, I'm looking at some Dynasty styles. Make sure to like, comment, and most importantly, subscribe if you haven't. Let's go. So, my first sell, DJ Moore. So, we all love DJ Moore. He's a great player, but might be a little bit overvalued in Dynasty, especially in light of recent events. So, let's take a look at DJ Moore's career. Starting in 2019, he was great. 87 catches, 1,175 yards, 4 touchdowns, 5.8 catches, and 78.3 yards a game. And then he just never quite took the next step to being like uber elite. He had fewer catches, but more yards, still just had 4 touchdowns. Wasn't really an improvement. Then 2021, he had 93 catches, 1,157 yards, 4 touchdowns again. Lower in catches per game, lower in yards per game than 2019. Then 2022, he kind of hit rock bottom. 63 catches, 880 yards, 7 touchdowns. So he had the 7 touchdowns, which was good. But he had a low of 3.7 catches and just 52.2 yards a game. So from 2019 to 2022, he kind of had mixed success. This was his touchdown year, but he never had touchdowns, catches, and yards all at the same time. He was never elite in all of those at the same time. There's always something missing. But then in 2023, it all came together. 96 catches, 1,364 yards, 8 touchdowns, 5.6 catches, and 80.2 yards a game. So he essentially duplicated the catches and yards per game of 2019, except he had 8 touchdowns instead of 4 and stayed healthy for all the games. So he totaled higher total stats. Now, he also essentially was more efficient with more touchdowns and, was the number 1 target in the offense. There was bad target competition. What's his current situation? A lot has changed since 2023. New quarterback in Caleb Williams replacing Justin Fields. The Bears added Rachaad White and Keenan Allen to the wide receiver group. And DJ Moore has just turned 27 years old, putting him in the prime of his career, but not the prime of his dynasty value. What is Moore's current value? On Keep Trade Cut, he's wide receiver 18. I have him wide receiver 21. Now, there's a disparity there. Let's look at some trades I would suggest for DJ Moore. Could you trade him for someone like Jordan Addison or Jackson Smith-Njigba, who's 5 years younger, and get a 25-second? I think so. Could you sell DJ Moore for 106 to 108 and draft someone like JJ McCarthy or Brock Bowers or Rome Odunze himself? Yes, maybe. And I would absolutely do that if someone values the proven production over the upside. To close out the DJ Moore section, I don't want you to hear what I'm not saying. I like DJ Moore. DJ Moore is very talented. But he's probably overvalued in Dynasty for the range of outcomes he can deliver. We went through his last 5 seasons. Of the 5, at his current cost and age, he would only be a success if he puts up the 2023 stats. 2019 to 2022, all of them would be a failure. If that's all he gives you, he's not a buy at wide receiver 18 at 27 years old. So that's why I have DJ Moore as a sell. Next up, Anthony Richardson. So Richardson, unlike Moore, has almost no track record in the NFL. He played 1 season and not much even there. In the 4 games that he played, 59.5% completion, 3 touchdowns, an interception, 6.9 yards per attempt, 25 carries, 136 yards, 4 touchdowns. He played 4 games. He went out early with injury in 2 of them. He has no sample size of NFL play. None. We have a few games. The one thing I can say is he didn't look completely overmatched, but we still didn't see the accuracy. We really didn't see much. What's his current situation? It's pretty good. He retained Michael Pittman as wide receiver 1. That's good. That was a must. He added Adonai Mitchell to complement Josh Downs as wide receiver 2 and 3. Mitchell is going to be a big upgrade over Alec Pierce. So the wide receivers were upgraded. Great head coach in Shane Steichen. Steichen kept the offense afloat even with Gardner Minshew at quarterback. Imagine what he could do with Anthony Richardson. Richardson on Keep Trade Cut Quarterback 9, I have him quarterback 10. Now, why do I have Anthony Richardson as a sell? It's not that I dislike him. It's that he's overvalued in the market compared to really two very similar players who I like better at their cost. One of them, Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray, Anthony Richardson, we have no idea if Anthony Richardson is good. None. He could be terrible. He could be a bust in the NFL. We don't know anything about that. If you could sell Anthony Richardson for Kyler Murray, who we know is good, has already succeeded in the NFL, already has a massive contract, and you can get something with Kyler Murray, you might even be able to get a 25-second. You could get a player. I have Kyler Murray ahead of Anthony Richardson. I think he's proven he's not even old. So that's an easy one for me. Then Jaden Daniels. Very similar to Anthony Richardson for me. Similar draft capital. Similar risk. Daniels was a much more proven passer in college. Anthony Richardson is a lot bigger, a much more prototypical NFL player at the quarterback position. They both have risk. If you get something with Jaden Daniels for Anthony Richardson, which I've seen in places, I would do it. And then another kind of deal like this one, Anthony Richardson and Travis Etienne for Lamar Jackson and Zach Charbonnet, something like this. If you can move up from Anthony Richardson, who is a maybe, to Lamar Jackson, who we know is good, I would absolutely do that. So that's another kind of thing you could do. Some closing comments on Anthony Richardson. I'm not saying he can't succeed. I think he might. He's priced very high, though, for someone who's done nothing at all. And all he did was leave 2 games early with an injury. It almost feels like he's gained value after his rookie season, which is a bit scary for someone who's a risk. We don't know that he's a franchise quarterback. And to me, the biggest thing that makes no sense is the price gap between Richardson and Jaden Daniels. Did we see enough in 4 games to say that Richardson is better? Daniels is a better prospect, not Richardson. Certainly as a passer. So, yeah, I don't understand that at all. Lastly, and this one I think is the easiest sell, and I hear people pushing back against it. I really don't understand why. Rachaad White. Rachaad White is one of those players I just have zero interest in. I will never have him, not at his cost. He just doesn't do it for me. Let's look at why. 2022, split carries with Leonard Fournette. 129 carries, 481 yards, a touchdown. Inefficient, 3.7 yards per carry. Still more efficient than Leonard Fournette. 50 catches, 290 yards, 2 touchdowns. That's good. Receiving back. 2023, 272 carries, 990 yards, 6 touchdowns, 3.6 yards a carry. Still inefficient on the ground. 64 catches, 549 yards, and 3 touchdowns for the year. Amazing receiving production. However, he's never been good between the tackles. Never. And it's not like Rachaad White is 22 or 23. He's 25 already. If he was going to get better, I think he would have. So it's not going to happen. Is the 2023 usage numbers, is that going to be sustainable? I don't think so. They seem insane to me. Yes, Rachaad White is not a small player, but does Rachaad White have the frame to hold up to almost 340 touches? No way. That is not going to last. He is not Derrick Henry. He is not Jonathan Taylor. He is not a player like that. So that's not going to happen. No other Bucs running back had 50 carries or 20 targets in 2023. So no one else was used at all. That's not going to happen either. So that's kind of my take on Rachaad White and his stats. The current situation. The Bucs spent a 4th on Bucky Irving. Immediately, Bucky Irving is better than whatever they had before, which was Chase Edmonds and Sean Tucker, who both suck. And White, of course, turns 25 in January. And the coach's comments, if you listen to the coach's comments, they were all about how White didn't deliver in certain ways that they're hoping Bucky Irving can. You don't like to hear that, even if it doesn't mean that much. White's KTC Dynasty value, RB13. I have him RB15. And I really don't even want to have him RB15. Honestly, I really just have no interest in Rachaad White. If you can somehow get a 25 first, I would do it. If you could sell Rachaad White for Keon Coleman or Ladd McConkey, the safer, younger receiving asset, I would do it. And some people don't like those players. So if you can get out of the 202 or 203, get into that pick for Rachaad White, I would do it. And then the last one, very similar player, same age, same kind of concerns, except Isaiah Pacheco was actually good on the ground. Isaiah Pacheco didn't have Bucky Irving drafted. So I would much rather have Isaiah Pacheco, and I think that that's against the consensus. What are my closing comments on Rachaad White? I can't shake the idea that Rachaad White is a volume-only running back who is not that good. The Buccaneers were desperate to get another running back involved last year, and the only reason they didn't is because they were horrible. White is already 25. And there's no way NFL teams have learned this lesson that they are giving Rachaad White a big contract in the future. NFL teams know better now. This is a replaceable running back who did carry the load, not well, and can be replaced even with two cheaper players, one of whom might be Bucky Irving. And the 2025 running back class is a strong candidate for them to find their new guy if Rachaad White continues his inefficiency on the ground, which is all he's ever shown. So I have zero interest in Rachaad White at his price. He's one of the biggest sells in Dynasty for me. People will look at the volume, and I'm just not there. So huge sell, and I'm totally out. Now, if you like the video so far, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I have some questions for my Patreon, which you can sign up for at patreon.com/fantasyadvice. Let's jump into those. Is JSN going to get better opportunities to shine with a new coaching staff? So let's look at what he did last year. 63 catches, 628 yards, 4 touchdowns on 93 targets, 3.7 catches, and 36.9 yards per game. Third in targets behind Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. But on a route run basis, he was similar because he stayed in the slot. JSN did not play in 2 wide receiver sets. So that was the problem. JSN never got on the field in 2 wide receiver sets, and the Seahawks played too many 12 personnel sets where there was no slot wide receiver. That's what needs to change, not the target rate. He was actually good when he was out there. He needs to do more with the targets he received, and he needs to be out there more. Clearly, if you saw the interview, JSN hated the old offensive coordinator. So I'm inclined to say that the new offensive coordinator can't make it worse. But like I said, JSN either needs to go on the field in 2 wide receiver sets, or they need to use more 11 personnel, or he needs to get his targets further down the field. I have no idea if the new OC is going to do any of those things, but I'm hoping. I think it would be a wise idea. We'll see. Outlook for A.D. Mitchell's rookie season. We talked a little bit about Anthony Richardson earlier. It's hard to see how Mitchell does much as a rookie. Anthony Richardson is an inexperienced passer and runs a lot. And the Colts have 2 wide receivers who were good last year. Josh Downs, who I think was a lot better than people think. 68 catches, 771 yards, and 2 touchdowns. More catches and yards than JSN, for example. Michael Pittman, 109 catches, 1,152 yards, and 4 touchdowns. No one else on the team had more than 32 catches. Anthony Richardson is not going to support more than one alternative wide receiver to Pittman. So my guess, it's not going to be Downs and Mitchell. My guess is that it's neither of them, and there are no other usable wide receivers in this offense. I do like Mitchell more long-term than Downs, but it's hard to see either of them producing unless one of them just completely dismisses the other. And I don't see that as likely. So yeah, not optimistic. 10-team, 1 quarterback. I have all these picks. I want to consolidate as I'm in a roster crunch. What are some strategies I can think about incorporating? Good question. In general, the strategies are to wait until you're on the clock and try to trade the current pick for future picks, or package the current pick for veterans. When you're on the clock, the most business gets done. It can be tempting to trade up. Usually that's not the right move. You usually want to wait and let value come to you. The only reason to trade up is if the price is cheap, as in the best case scenario you can imagine at the later picks is still not worth as much as the earlier pick. But otherwise, usually just waiting and trying to trade out or trade for veterans is how I consolidate. Now, if you like the video, make sure to drop a like and leave a comment with your thoughts. As always, the best way to support the channel is to subscribe. And don't forget to hit that notifications bell so you can be notified about all my exciting content as it drops. Of course, if you want my full Dynasty Fantasy Football advice, it's available on Patreon, and redraft ranks might even be coming there soon. Every sign up helps support my independent content. Once again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all